To make you aware, this podcast will contain conversations around mental health and well-being and could include issues of a sensitive nature. This is a podcast from Torfaen Talks CIC.
Welcome then, hello.
Hello everyone, we do hope that you are well. It's a bit of a different one for us this time.
Every single episode that we've done so far has been different in some way, and this one is another different one because it's National Grief Awareness Day on the 30th of August.
And I'm sure you all know this podcast doesn't all get made in one day. So Patrick has been out on the road, haven't you?
Yeah, visiting all the grief support groups across Torfaen in Merchants Hill Baptist Church, in Bethlehem Chapel in Blaenavon, TLC Wellbeing Centre and Richmond Road Baptist Church too.
We've tried to cover it so there's at least one bereavement or grief group in each area of Torfaen. Yeah. So we've got Cwmbran, Pontypool, and then going up to the Valley Centre, Blaenavon. So it's recognising, and we do know there's other support groups, because we're going to mention Nodfa Church later on as well in Aberystwyth, and their grief course. We will mention that a little bit later. But you've been attending these groups, and they run at least once a month or twice a month,
and different times of the day. For example, Bethlehem does it the last Wednesday of the month, 10 in the morning till 12. Then they do an evening one as well, 6 till 8.
Yeah.
So there's different times for all of them.
But we hope, just for you listeners, if you are bereaved and grieving, and it doesn't matter if that's been an hour, or if it's been a few days, if it's been a few years or 10 years, there is no time limit on grief and how that should be feeling for you. So it's just been really nice to know that these groups are in our local area and they're just a space to talk. And no pressure to even talk about grief. If you don't want to talk about grief and bereavement, that's okay also. But I know personally, for you, Patrick, this has been quite a difficult one for you, having been recently bereaved yourself.
It has, yeah. I think it's kind of a reflective time of going out across the month to the different groups, then coming back and putting it all together. And you kind of listen and you realising every group is different, but the themes remain the same. From one of the conversations I had about running one of the groups, one of the ladies said it's kind of become a bit of a social thing for them as well.
Yeah. And
they've gone out for a Christmas meal, and they said to the waiter when he asked, "Is this your work to?" "No, it's a grief group." So you have that sort of
the face drop,
the face drop, and it's like there is a thing as well, I suppose, about people not knowing what to say to you when you get asked when you're out and about of, "How are you?" It's a standard thing that we ask. Yeah. It's like, "How are you?" Well, if you tell them, "Well, actually, I'm really not great today,"
And I do think that is sadly a common theme around bereavement is people, they like loved ones around them, friends, family, sometimes don't know what to say.
No, that's right.
Or like work colleagues, or those people in your life when you've lost someone, other people don't know what to say.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or they fear saying the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge part of why these groups are important, because everyone has experienced grief and bereavement. It's like you said, that unsaid thing. Yeah. There's sadly a common understanding, but it works because you're all in that position of understanding without having to say it. And as a counsellor, I'm not a counsellor that says, "I understand," because I really dislike that. Because unless you're in that person's situation or have experienced what they have and have the same emotions, because we can all experience the same thing and feel very different things. So, bereavement is different, isn't it? I mean, obviously, you've got the different stages of bereavement. Equally, everyone responds to bereavement differently. Yeah. And I think also the expectation of when you have a lost loved one and then you lose another person, you sort of expect, I'll respond like this as preparation. That doesn't work either, because you have a different attachment to that person. So the bereavement and grief will feel different. So yes, I do know it's been a bit of a difficult one for you.
Yeah, it has a little bit.
But very reflective. I know it's been difficult, but I think it's been really helpful.
Yeah, it has, as you'll hear through the course of this episode, hearing the other different services in Cwmbran with Tony and also with Sue up in Blaenavon, they have different ways of what they do within their groups as well.
So the different approaches.
Yeah. I think with that, let's start at the very beginning
It's always a very good place to start.
It's a very good place to start.
Try not to burst into song there.
Every single time.
Our first visit on the road is to Richmond Road.
That's right, and speaking with Gemma, first off though, talking about what they do at Richmond Road as well.
Oh, amazing. That's really good.
First off, what do you do here in Richmond Road Baptist Church?
We do all sorts of things. We're trying to get as involved in the community as we can. So starting on a Monday afternoon, we do a wellbeing singing group, come along and sing around the piano. Tuesdays, we have our wellbeing cafe, which is a great space, really buzzing at the moment, full of arts and crafts. There is always food on offer and just a really great place to come and meet people and chat. Wednesdays, our Ladies Fellowship get together. They have speakers come in. I love it when the guide dogs come to visit.
Oh, wow.
That's always a fun
Love
one.
that.
Thursday mornings, we have our toddler group. Fridays, usually quiet. Saturdays, once a month, we have Messy Church. So again, the building is full of kids, families. That's a really buzzing one again. Sunday morning worship, obviously. We've recently started our bereavement group.
Yes. So, can you explain to people what would actually happen at a bereavement group? Because when you've lost somebody, you do go through those stages. How does the group help with that?
So it's quite a new group, but the aim is just to get some of that peer support. So many people, when they're recently bereaved in particular, find they're feeling things they've never felt before, they're dealing with situations they've never had to deal with before. It's all very new and it can all be a bit scary, and so the aim of the group is just to put people in a room together where they can express the things that maybe they don't want to talk to family about, they don't want to burden people, and just to find out actually whatever you're going through and however you're dealing with this is perfectly normal, and there's always going to be someone else to come alongside and just be there, to hold your hand through filling out all those forms. Other groups that we've been in contact with when we were setting this up, people have made lifelong friendships. They go on that first holiday together and that turns into an annual thing. Yeah, just a place where people can have conversations with people who get it, who understand what you're going through.
So with regard to that group, then that happens every month, doesn't it?
Yeah, at the moment it's monthly, first Tuesday of every month from 10 till 11. So the aim of that again was that it leads nicely into our wellbeing cafe. So people, if they want to stay on and have a little bit more companionship, a little bit more friendship, there's the opportunity to stay, because that runs from 11 till 1. Bereavement group from 10 till 11 is just that space where everyone in the room has been through something similar and gets where you're coming from.
What would you say to somebody if they were thinking about coming and they're a little bit anxious, apprehensive?
Perfectly normal. I don't like going new places myself. It's always a bit scary the first time you step through the door. But honestly, everyone at the group is so friendly. It's such a warm and welcoming place to be. All of our volunteers have gone through a training program with Crews, who are national bereavement champions. So not only have they got personal experience, they've also had that little bit of levelling up on how to handle situations that might not be quite like their own.
Yes.
So there'll always be someone who can sit and chat with you, and there's absolutely no pressure. If you want to come in for 5 minutes, have a cup of coffee and leave again, that's absolutely fine. If you want to stay all day, we can probably make that happen. Although I do have to go home at some point.
People will be here until probably 7 o'clock in the night now, you realise that, don't you? Yeah. It is just a safe space really for people to come and talk to with, I hate the word like-minded people, but people who've gone through that same process, isn't it?
Yeah, people who understand where it's okay to be feeling however you're feeling and to be dealing with your grief and however you're dealing with it.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
It's different for everybody.
Yes, that's right.
And that can be difficult to navigate sometimes, especially we've talked to a few people already whose family are dealing with their grief in very different ways, and that can be quite lonely actually if you're not doing what everyone around you is doing, or you're not feeling the way other people around you are feeling. So it's good to have that space to come and be with other people who get that. First Tuesday of every month from 10 till 11. Okay,
and if people want to get in contact with you for any reason, how can they do that?
Best way is probably through our Facebook page. There's multiple of us who check those messages, so there'll usually be a pretty quick response, and that's just facebook.com/Richmond Road Baptist Church.
Gemma, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm out and about today then in Two Locks in Cwmbran. I've come to the TLC Wellbeing Centre to talk to Tony about what they do here and the services they offer, especially with regards to bereavement.
We run a wellbeing centre on the outside of the church, on the whole of the church. And that wellbeing centre is to look for the whole well-being of all people. We provide food, we fair share. Most of the time we find that people coming in with either mental health problems or bereavement, or there's been suicidal situations. But we always try to signpost most people. Most people got things like money problems, or they have a difficulty in their community or in their situation. So we try to signpost this, usually the personal things like bereavement or mental health or any kind of those things that we usually end up having to counsel or to spend time with people on a weekly basis.
Talk about for example, like food bank. How often is that available?
We are an independent, so we're not part of any trust or any government food bank. So every bit of food in the church is bought by the church.
Right, okay.
We can give it without discretion, you
Yeah.
know. So we open that up on a Wednesday. We try to open it up for Wednesday collection. But then we are open for Thursday and Friday as well. And so some people come in that from 10 till 12 and come in and collect it then. Some people collect it weekly, some collect it monthly. Depends on the circumstances. And the procedures really is that we tend to give about 6 hampers. And after about the 5th hamper, then we'll have a one-to-one and we have a chat and see in any way we can help to improve. It's all about betterment.
Yes,
if we can make anyone feel better, wherever they are on that day, but I find in well-being is really about the betterment of a person.
Yes.
Trying to bring that betterment out to improve them. So this is how the food, we don't actually call it a food bank, we call it our hampers.
Yes.
Because we're independent. And it's up and down. And we can do dozens of them, and then some like 8 or 9. So it depends on the circumstances of the day. Never run out of food so far, and we've always had to buy it ourselves. We've had some help in the past from supermarkets and different organisations, but it's always been my food year for people. And the other part of the food is obviously fair share.
Yes.
Which is food that's intercepted before it goes to landfill. And that's always if it's available to everybody who comes in. If you need to apply for it or anyone needs to apply for it, they can just come in and we can just have a quick chat and we can see where people can go with it.
Now, at the moment, we're in the church, and it's a classic kind of Valley's church, I suppose, isn't it? Not only do you do the hampers, you also do the support. There's also the bereavement group, isn't it?
We do one-to-one mainly. So there's quite a few bereavement groups around Torfaen area. And what we have found, especially in the last 8 months, is that people tend to come in themes, you know.
Yeah.
Somebody might come in with their mental health, and then we have a lot of that. But over the last 6 months, I would say we've had more than an expected load of people who come in who are suffering with grief from, and it's not going away, kind of grief. So we tend to look after people who may be struggling to get past that grief.
Yeah.
And there might be a dozen reasons for that. So we try to, it's not about just letting the process happen. So we tend to step in when the process is a bit stuck. So we tend to look at how we can make help with people and letting people talk a bit and letting people express. And I find a lot of times that if you've lost a partner and you're a certain age, you've got nobody to share that story. And you really just want to share your story. And if it's family involved, you don't want to keep sharing the same story to people. So you do need a platform or a sounding board to share that story. So that's where we've come in with our grief. We got this me that does the grief counselling, and we have another lady who comes in on a Thursday who's a tired counsellor who also helps out. And there are people who are trained when they're available who can help out and talk to people then.
So in terms of with grief, they say grief never really goes away. It just doesn't get smaller, but everything around it becomes bigger, doesn't it?
Yes, with grief, I think grief is supposed to follow a certain natural path. Yes. It's in a rediscovering who you are, rediscovering the situation, it's acceptance, and then reinventing all the things of life you do. Where it goes wrong is when the process isn't improving. And I can give an example, don't mention anything. You know, we've had a lady with grief, and the person died a long, long time ago. And it was just an incident take place, and suddenly all the grief came back. And that incident started to trigger off all the grief that she had in the first time, which she seemed to grow out of. Which went through, then its natural course. And there was, you can see that there was issues that hadn't been dealt with. So sometimes we can be stuck in grief. We can be stuck in a situation that we can't seem to get our thoughts out of, can't seem to get our actions right. And sometimes this needs, it does not even do it for you. What you just need is the permission, I suppose, to get better. The permission to get over things, and the permission to go on with your life in a different way.
The bereavement group, when does that happen?
What we tend to do, because we're a wellbeing centre and we open 3 times a week, people come in for hampers, people come in for chats and coffee and drop-in, people come in to see our organisations like Pobble or Bereavement. But at the same time then, when we come in, we always tend to ask what they come for. So sometime in the case of story, grief comes up then in a conversation. And even when it is grief, always could be another reason behind it. So we tend to funnel, I suppose the right word would be, as people come in and they get a hamper, or they get a situation, or they have a little chat, and then things are exposed in that chat, and that gives us our direction. So most bereavements, not all of them come initially out of bereavement. They just come for the connection or the food or whatever reason they've come for. But then it quickly gets exposed that the biggest problem is bereavement or the lack of overcoming a certain bereavement. And in that overcoming that situation, that's when we lead it to that bereavement counselling. So everything is a signpost. So when we recognise that somebody needs something specific, and it might not be bereavement, if it's some depression or something, we would then signpost it that direction. So we tend to try and identify what the need is, and then step in with that situation.
A little bit like, I suppose, like a triage kind of service in a way, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. I would say that most of the things I do is more triage. It's fishing. You're exploring why people are in that situation. And not everything that people say is what they really feel. And it takes a little digging and a little bit of poking around, and you start to think, there's more going on here. And you discover what that is. And most people will actually deal with themselves. Once it's revealed, they start to deal with it. They start to come through it. And when they analyse and look, this is where I am, this is the situation. Most probably try to put it in a drawer and pretend it's not existent. But when they start to face it and start to look at the situation, most probably talk to themselves about it. And that's all we do, is make that environment where people can start considering their situation, considering where they are, considering all the facts of the situation, and then asking them again, see, where are we with it? Where are you going with this? And then trying to bring that closure to their life and understanding where they're going to be in the future and trying to give them a future.
Oh, absolutely. So the Wellbeing Centre, when is it open and how can people get in contact with you?
The Wellbeing Centre is open Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. And my number's available in the area. I'm also the pastor of the church, so I'm easily found on that number. And we are on Facebook as well, the Wellbeing, and you can contact us through there. But most people just turn up. If you can be around that time and turn up, and you come in and you might say, and we'll talk to you, see why you've come and what we can help you with. Is there anything we can do, or do you just want a cup of coffee? So, and then it goes from there. That's the main need we come in. Some people message us on Facebook. You're just walking into a nice group of people, coffee, just a chat. And it's a friendly atmosphere. And then we see where it goes. If you've got a specific thing that you're coming for because there's a certain problem and you know you're in a certain problem, you can just approach us and ask us about the situation, and we can see where we can take it with you. And if there's anything we can help you with.
Tony from TLC Wellbeing, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So that was our chat with Tony from the TLC Wellbeing Centre. I've just come outside, and it's a lovely day. It's not too grey, but I'm stood outside the Wellbeing Centre, and I'm overlooking some ducks and well, bit of water, and it's lovely. it is definitely perfect for you to pop down and just to take some time out and just chill. Just chill a little bit.
If you'd like to be involved in the podcast, please message or voice note on WhatsApp. Our number is 07851 138 610. So that was Patrick there talking to the lovely Gemma from Richmond Road Bereavement Group and the lovely Tony as well from TLC.
The Balloon Man.
The Balloon Man from the TLC Wellbeing Centre in Cwmbran. Really, really lovely to hear them talking there, and I think it really does come across that there is no pressure. And I think like what you said about that kind of social aspect to it.
Yes, yeah.
And yeah, as we said earlier, there's that kind of undercurrent of understanding of we all know we're grieving.
Yes.
And you can talk about it or you don't want to talk about it. There's that mutual respect with that,
Yes,
and I think
yeah.
that's really comes across clear. But one place that started advertising a grief course, really, and group, was Nodfa, wasn't it, in Aberystwyth? We hopefully just putting it out there that this course is starting in September, Patrick, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the bereavement journey. It's in 7 sessions of films and discussion for anybody who's bereaved at any time. You know, topics, for example, like anger, guilt, coping with others' reactions. It's not like a monthly thing. This is 7 sessions. If you want more information about this, starting in September, contact Nodfa Baptist Church on social media, or you can call them on 01495 448 902.
So you're going to go back on the road again now.
Back on the road. Get
back in that car.
Get me coat on, right?
We're off now to Bethlehem Chapel.
That's right.
Firstly, with the lovely Sue Driscoll. And then we're also then going to Merchant Hill Baptist Church.
That's right.
So we're sort of ending
where it began.
Where it all began,
yes.
Which was really lovely to hear.
Which you'll actually hear more about when we catch up with Chris from
lovely.
Merchant Hill Baptist Church.
Just before we go into going back in time for you going to Bethlehem Chapel, I just wanted to give a little shout out to Sue Driscoll because I, obviously being from Blenavon, I know Sue personally, and just to say she is the most beautiful person you will ever meet. And I just wanted to say that to her because she was so helpful to me back in the day when I had my depression and anxiety. When you know, sometimes don't think there are kind people in the world. She is the most beautiful person you will ever meet. I know you are in these other places too, but in Bethlehem Chapel I know that you're in safe hands. So I will leave you now, Patrick, to go and talk to Bethlehem Chapel and Merchant Hill.
So I'm here with Sue then today at Bethlehem Chapel. Before we begin, tell me a little bit what else happens here at Bethlehem Chapel.
Oh, nice to speak to you today, Patrick. Yes, we've got lots going on here at the chapel. Some of the groups we have are sponsored by the church and others are people who use the premises. So on a Monday we have a coffee morning, and that's also linked with a chair yoga session.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's quite a few of us who do that. I'm the baby of the group, so that tells you that the demographic, but it's a really good way to start the day. Our tutor's very good. And then later on during term time, the brownies use the space and they really enjoy doing that. On a Tuesday, we have our own chapel-sponsored pottery group, so you don't have to be a potter to come. The people here will help you out. It was originally started by my husband, Kevin, and so it carries on as part of his legacy, which is lovely. We hold a prayer meeting on a Tuesday evening, and that's at 6:30. Then on a Wednesday, our fabulous volunteer team come in and get everything ready for Fair Share collection, when they go down to Pancake House and collect food and bring it up and get it all ready for our Thursday. On our Thursday, we're quite a hive of action here. We've got tea and toast from 9 o'clock really, and Fair Share then is able to be distributed from 9:30. We have our own meet and eat group going on, and currently we have lunch and learn with Multiply. So some of our user group and some of our chapel members are doing some maths.
Wow,
I think they were doing averages and means and range the last time that they were all in, which was fabulous.
It's too early for that for me.
On a Friday, we have a lovely group meeting called Tin Shed, and they're a group of people who like to play their guitars and sing, a group of older people. And then we have our services then on a Sunday, and they vary quite a bit. And then once a month, we hold our Good Grief Club, which is Bereavement Support, and we hold that from 10 till 12 on a Wednesday morning. And again, 6 till 8 on a Wednesday evening, because we're conscious that people have to work, or maybe they've got other commitments during the day. So we put a session on in the evening as well.
There's an awful lot that happens here that people may or may not be aware of. the week is just very busy, and now today we're here for that Good Grief Club. Can you tell me a little bit about the background of it?
It actually has come out of my husband's death. I literally woke up one morning thinking, good grief, what on earth has happened? And I think that there are a lot of other people who wake up thinking, good grief, and that's the polite way of putting it, isn't it? Good grief. And then that sort of formulated in my head about grieving generally and what support is out there and who could you talk to, because we all have our families and friends, but they're also grieving in their own way for the same person. It would be useful to have, or beneficial for some people to have, just a support group where they could go and talk about everything around grief. And on all the wall, actually, we've got some things that we've explored. We've explored some of the emotions around it. You can swing from being so desperately sad, but also quite joyful at memories sometimes, so very angry, very guilty that you're still here and they're not, all of those things. And we've even explored, what do you say to people when they ask you how you are?
Yes.
And we live in a town where people go, hi, are you all right?
Yeah.
And they're not actually asking how you're feeling.
Yeah.
They're just acknowledging that you're there.
Yeah.
And it's just a turn of phrase. And for me, I struggled a long time on what to actually say back to people. So we've got some things that we've said up here. So generally, when people come, they light a candle in memory of their loved one. We just talk and support each other. I've done a couple of visual things, like the model of grief that shows how grief is a ball, and that you grow around your grief. The grief doesn't get smaller, that you grow around. We've done a couple of things like that here. And also, we usually finish with a poem connected with the loss of a loved one. Some of us have been very recently bereaved, and others of us have been bereaved several times, or even a while ago. And I think everyone's coming to recognise that you're not all right, but you learn to live with grief and then everybody does it in a different way.
Yes.
And you see lots of models of grief, don't you? That there's this straight line, and you're going to go through all of that. Well, actually, the model is just a big scribble, and that you can almost have a parallel personality, because you can function on the outside almost normally, but on the inside you can be so desperately sad. So really we wanted to give people the space to perhaps explore those times when you are feeling that desperate sadness or desperate anger, or you've got questions, with other people who've been through a similar experience. Definitely.
I think with the stages of grief, as you touched upon there, it's the fact of you can be one of them. There's no process. It's not serial. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 1, 5, 2, 3, 2, 3, and back again all the time, isn't it? So I suppose this group is there for people to talk about it with people who actually understand that process.
Definitely. I've had lots of people say, oh, you'll get through it.
Yeah.
And when they say that, I always imagine, that huge chocolate cake that boy has to eat in Matilda. He got through that. Grief isn't a big chocolate cake that you have to get through, because you carry it with you all the time, and you don't come to an end to it. You learn to, I suppose, have grief walk alongside you. There are some days when it will just be bobbing gently in the background, and other days when it's right at the front of your mind, and you can't function for maybe the whole day how you normally would, because it's just there. And one of the interesting things that people say, and I know that Carol and Grenville, who are with us today, will also say, is they say, oh, it's always the first anniversary that's the worst.
Yes, that's right.
Interestingly, I found things like, just recently, Heritage Day really threw me, because Kev had some physical challenges, and so in order for him to get about in Blenavon, if I was involved in something, which often I was, and he was always involved with the choir, we had to have this plan in place about, right, whoever's Kev going to be, so he's going to be here in chapel for so long, and then he had to get down to sing his bit, and then we would always end up back at his mum's house. The whole family would be involved in that, and then suddenly on that Saturday, I didn't have that to think about. That really threw me. And the other one was polling day, actually, because we were always one of the last in at St Paul's Hall, because he would insist on going after choir. And again, on polling day, that wasn't anything to consider. And those 2 days probably caused me to step back and take a breath, more than, we'd already had the first birthday, we'd already had the first Christmas. Most of us in the family have had our first birthdays without him. So I think it's having a space for people to say, well, actually, I wanted to ring my mum or my dad or my husband today because I saw this and I thought they'd be interested in it. Or I think that having a space where you can discuss that without others thinking, well, you should have got over it by now, which I also think is something that...
It can be very triggering sometimes, because I'll be honest, somebody said that to me during the first year of my mum passing. It was like, well, you know, it's always about you. It's like, well, yes, it might be at this moment, but I'm not really putting it about me. I was never mentioning the fact of it was about her all the time. But this person had just started that kind of the narrative I was talking about it all the time. It's quite a difficult thing sometimes to navigate, isn't it?
It's difficult to navigate within family, really, as well. Because, you know, we've all got the same experience. Both my sisters, my brother, myself, we've got the same experience of our parents passing, in that they passed, but we were in at different points of our lives, but also at different points at that moment that it happened. That and so our perspective is different. So, for example, when my mum died, Davina, she'd had the opportunity of being with her most of the morning, and it was an ordinary day, you know, for them. So that also has a bearing on what your perspective is within a family. So sometimes it's hard within a family to talk about something because maybe you feel you had a missed experience or a missed chance or a missed opportunity that you can't really explore with somebody because you don't want to hurt their feelings or again make it about you or make it about them, but just say, you know, I was really upset that I didn't get that opportunity, or if I had known, because sometimes that's how we feel, don't we? We look at hindsight and think, oh, if I had known.
The what ifs.
What ifs. Definitely. So this is what this group is here to explore. We haven't got a set recipe. We're not following any courses. We don't particularly show any videos. We talk about our loved ones. We've played music that they like. We bring cakes in that they like. We like that bit as well. And that's really very much what we've, just where we are with it.
What would you say to somebody who's listening to this now and thinking, I've lost somebody, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be 10 years, and they're still struggling. What would you say to them to make that first step to come to a group like yours?
I think literally take that first step and do it for yourself and do it for the person that you've lost in their memory almost, to come and explore everything, come and remember them with us, because I think we all have a fear that other people will forget them or that we'll forget things about them. And coming to a group like this, especially in a smaller community like Blenavon, you might encounter somebody who knew them.
That's right,
who
absolutely.
had contact with them, and just come along. You know, I'm happy for my number to be shared so that people can ring first if they want to. It's always daunting to come into somewhere new on your own, but we can always, you know, make that contact and bring you in, have a chat with you on the phone first, and then come in with you. That's what I would say would be the first step. And
it's once a month, isn't it?
Yes, it's the last Wednesday of the month, and we usually pop a reminder up on our Facebook page. And I've got to say that we're very grateful to Heritage Funerals in Blenavon because they have supported us to open. But yes, we're the last Wednesday of the month, 10 till 12 in the morning, 6 till 8 in the evening.
Perfect. Sue, thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you.
Find us on social media at Torfaen Talks CIC. For more details about what we do, look on our website, torfaentalkscic.org.uk.
I'm down by Merchant Hill Baptist Church. We're going to be going in shortly. If you want to know where it actually is, just up from the Texaco garage as you're heading out of Pontypool, heading up towards Aberystwyth and Blenavon. And today we're going to find out a little bit more about the Bereavement Support Group. So I've come inside now Merchant Hill Baptist Church, and I'm joined by Chris.
I've been running the group for 8, maybe coming up 9 years now.
9 years, wow. So
yes.
Would this be the longest running group in Torfaen?
As far as I'm aware, yes. Yes, I set it up. I work for Co-op Funeral Care, and it was something the company felt that was needed in the area. So we've been doing that. In the beginning, there was just 4 or 5 people that regularly came, but since COVID and the lockdown, and we had to stop for that, we've had a lot more inquiries and interest, which the group is growing, which is great. So it's doing its job.
Basically, we've been talking with other groups across Torfaen, and this group is where everything kind of started, I suppose.
Quite probably, yes, because in the beginning I contacted GP surgeries and put posters out there, but It was just, I suppose it's one of those subjects people, you know,
people shy away from. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, yeah, but they're a really good mix of people that come here, all ages, men and women, and to be honest, I've got quite a good social life out of my group now.
And I think that's the one thing that's kind of from all these groups. It's not you have a common thing that is grief, but outside of that, it brings people together. It's an understanding of what everybody's going through.
The very first time, there was probably about 5 of us. We went out for a pre-Christmas meal, and the waiter, when he got to the table, he said, "Oh, is it a works Christmas outing?" And someone said, "Oh no, it's our bereavement group." And the poor waiter was horrified because we were all enjoying ourselves and what have you, and people don't associate that with
absolutely no.
with grief. And you know, some days you can come here and you know people are very upset, we're crying. Other days, you think they're laughing that much, are they really in the right place?
Because I think what people don't understand about grief is it stays the same. It never really goes away, but what you surround yourself with, that grows. And I suppose groups like this are part of that, aren't they?
Yes, absolutely. And I often say to people that sometimes it can be just the minor things that set you off. You think you could be doing great for weeks or months, and then suddenly something brings you right back to that day. It's theirs and it's intense. I feel you just learn to live with it in a different way. And if you've got people that have been through that, even if people have got wonderful friends and family, sometimes they try to be strong for their family and they don't want them to really see how they are. When they come here, they can...
It's an understanding between everybody who knows this is, some days you'll be good, some days not so good.
Yes. Yeah, and I sometimes feel, especially with new members, when they come, if we're sort of laughing and joking, I've sort of thought, oh dear, they might think, oh, I don't want to come here, it's not what I expected. But when I've spoken to people, they've said that's what they want. They want some sort of normality and, like I say, a really good bunch of people.
So saying about that now, to somebody who's recently been bereaved and they're listening to this, what kind of advice could you give to them about coming to a group like this?
I would say just try it. Everyone's different. Everyone deals with things differently. However, we've got a really mix of people that come here, and I've got one gentleman who came. I really had to persuade, come on, just come along, just give it a try, and he really wasn't, keen to do that. But he came and he felt comfortable, and he now comes, he says to me, I look forward to these meetings. He said, is it wrong to say that? And I said, not at all. I look forward to our meetings, and it's, having that connection with someone.
Yes, because you've gone through, probably some people will have gone through, the worst time in their life, but to come to a group like this, everybody's the same, everybody knows how you're feeling. There's different parts, different stages, of course, but everybody will have that same understanding of it too, wouldn't they?
That's right, absolutely. Because when I first started, I had 3 ladies all around the same sort of age who'd lost their husbands under different circumstances, totally different ways of dealing with things. They had that common connection, and I think that's what it is, because people say, oh, I know how you feel, or that sort of thing, but I think until you've been through something like this, nobody really knows.
No.
You might think, oh, I would deal with it in this way or that way, but when the time comes, it's totally different,
And if people want to come along, it's every second?
It's the second and fourth Wednesday of every month. We're here between 10 and 12 in Merchants Hill schoolroom. Say to people, if you want to come along, just pop in for an hour or just have a cup of tea. Just see how you feel. You don't have to stay for the 2 hours, but most people, once they've been once, they're here for 10, and it's gone 12 before we leave. So mentioned earlier, I've got quite a social life out of. We go out for meals at Christmas, in the summer, afternoon tea, and the group, they go for breakfast when I'm working, you know, they meet up in a garden centre, and they've built up further connections.
Further
really.
connections, yeah.
Yes, so I would just say, come along, try it. If it's not for you, that's fine. If you come one day and you think, oh no, it's not for me, in a month's time you might feel a bit different, and try it again. You know, there's no right or wrong way.
Chris, thanks for talking to me today.
You're more than welcome.
And now I'm talking with Carol from the group. Carol, how long have you been coming to this group?
Around about 4 months now, I think, yeah.
What made you come to this group?
It's my partner passed away 17 months ago now. He had cancer, and I cared for him for 2 years. When he passed away, I found it very, very difficult. I didn't want to see anyone or go out, and so I sort of isolated at home. Even so, I literally spent about 4 years in total, not really seeing very many people.
Yeah.
Going out at times when I deliberately wouldn't see people, you know, sort of doing shopping at very weird hours because I didn't want to face anyone.
And because sometimes people, they don't really know how to approach you either. Because if you see friends out and about, they're like, oh, do I talk to Carol? Or
and also when people do approach you and they want to talk, and at that stage perhaps you're not ready because it's too overwhelming, because you don't want to break down.
No.
You know, it's hard.
It
really
is
hard.
It's a bit of a fine line sometimes, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And people are very kind, but sometimes that kindness is worse than when people are not so kind.
Not so kind, yeah.
Yeah, if you see what I mean. Sympathy can be overwhelming at times, you know.
So what do you think you get from being part of this group?
Very, very close friendships, support, and also a feeling that we're all in this together, and that it's okay to have a laugh. You shouldn't be ashamed to have a laugh, because the very first time you feel a little bit guilty because you think, I should still be so...
Yeah.
And you are. The pain is still there. But the others are feeling exactly the same way. But this is a bit of a respite from that feeling, you know? So you have a lot of fellowship here and care and support.
And you're surrounded by people who've been through exactly what you've been through.
Exactly. And we're all at different stages.
Yes.
So now it's 17 months on, and I just feel like I'm starting to not get over it. You can't get over it. I mean, that's, you know, not that you never get over it, but starting to get to the stage where I think this is my life as it's going to be. And you gain a sort of serenity and acceptance of this is what life is going to be. And I've made new friends and new social contacts, and new opportunities have opened up to meet other groups and I've joined other groups as well, and I'm enjoying it. And because we're all different ages and backgrounds, it's wonderful because everyone's got a wonderful story, and that's marvellous. It's been a great help, and also it's the feeling that you can help others who are perhaps at an earlier stage of bereavement. Obviously, when you first arrive, you're scared, you don't want to see people, you're not sure what to expect. You think, my goodness, is everyone going to be sitting around crying, you know, because it's going to be too much. But then you get a warm welcome, you get a warm cup of tea and lovely biscuits, you know, and it's a safe place to cry if you want to cry. And somebody will be there to hold your hand and say, I know.
My kind of final question really would be, what would you say to somebody who's listening to this and going through the different stages of grief?
Yeah.
What would you say to them for them to come along to this group?
Come along when you feel ready. That could be now, it could be a few weeks after bereavement, it could be a few months, it could even be a few years. But come when you feel ready, and there's going to be a warm welcome, and you're going to feel like you're part of a family, a supportive family.
Carol, thank you.
No problem.
Back outside now, as you can probably hear, from talking with the Merchant Hill Baptist Church Bereavement Group. The one thing I've noticed with talking with all these different groups is everything is the same. You know, you treat grief differently, you go through the different stages in your own way, but these groups are there for you just whenever you feel ready. Wherever you're based, in Blaenavon, in Cwmbran, in Pontypool. There's a bereavement group very close by to you.
So that was really lovely to hear there from Chris from Merchant Hill, just to understand where it all started. really, which is where we're ending, weirdly.
Because all those other groups that we've spoken to, quite a few of them, they've been to that group to find out how they've done it there.
Yes, and it's just recognising and knowing the numbers of the people that are turning up to these groups is so needed.
Absolutely.
Within our community. And if you are a bereaved person listening to this, we hope that it's been supportive for you to know what's in the area and to know that people like ourselves are here to listen. As mentioned, with Torfaen Talks CIC, we do offer our counselling service, and it's a pay-as-you-can service, which is, pop-up locations throughout Torfaen if needed for you. But there's also national charities that are also there to help.
That's right.
For Crews, for example, they do have
well.
helplines for people who are bereaved. But please know, we hope that this podcast wasn't triggering any shape or form for you. Like we said, Patrick himself has found this difficult in talking to people and being around talking about grief at times, but also recognising it feels supportive.
Yes, absolutely.
At the same time. So please know that these organisations and groups are out there for you. And if you feel you need any support like that, then please don't hesitate to get in touch and we can point you in the right direction. But that leaves us for today.
Yeah,
that's the end of the podcast.
The end of the episode for this episode. If you would like to be on an episode, get in touch with us on our website, torfaentalkscic.org.uk. Same on social media, just search for Torfaen Talks CIC. We're on TikTok, very demure. We're also there on Instagram and on Facebook too.
Yes, please get in touch, guys, if you want your voice on the podcast, if you want to ask a question, if you want to talk about mental health. Remember, we are just trying to make talking about mental health and well-being as natural as possible to break down that stigma. Thank you for listening, everyone.
Thank you, bye.
If you'd like to be involved in the podcast, please message or voice note on WhatsApp. Our number is 07851 138 610. This is a podcast from Torfaen Talks CIC.